The purpose of tonight is just to listen and learn from you. And so we have a large number of folks who want to testify, which we're really thrilled with. We're trying to get as much public engagement as we could in our charge, so we're just thrilled at that. But because of that, we need to hopefully stay focused, stay direct in terms of what you'd like to bring to our attention. Always looking for your recommendations, by the way. Oftentimes we get lots of concerns, but not a lot of recommendations. We'd love to hear both of those, because ultimately our report is going to be addressing those concerns with solutions, with recommendations. So we hope that you do that as well. Just a couple of points then. We're going to try to keep everyone to 5 minutes. We are here to listen to you, so unless we need to clarify a question, we're just going to let you testify. We will be videotaping your testimony, so please know that. We'll be videotaping your testimony so that commission members who are not here tonight or cannot be here for the entirety of the night will be able to review those videotapes and see exactly what we're seeing. But we're not going to be debating we're here to listen. That's our job tonight, is to listen. And so we'd ask for your cooperation with that as well. As you come to the microphones, there's 2 microphones here. Again, in order to try to hear from as many people as possible tonight, we're going to try to use 2 microphones. We're going to call you, come to the microphone. The first person will go, the second person will go, then we'll call 2 other folks up. So we're constantly have someone speaking, so that we're as efficient as possible, so we can hear as much as we possibly can tonight, and no one goes away with the thought that we weren't able to give them the time or attention that they wanted. Staff, hopefully many of you have written testimony. If so, that would be great, and the staff will be grabbing that written testimony from you and handing it out to us, or duplicating it for the entire commission. Everything you say and give to us is going to be very important. With that said, I would just like to introduce all of our commission members who are here with me tonight. And so let me start with myself. I'm Dave Hespy. I'm the chairperson of the commission. And I'm also, in my day job, the Commissioner of Education for the state of New Jersey. And let me introduce next our hosts for tonight's session, Dr. Lyles, the Superintendent of Jersey City. Would you like to say a word or two, Dr. Lyles, as our host?
Well, thank you. To the Commissioner and fellow study commission members, I'd like to welcome you to Jersey City. Delighted that we are able to host this to the public. I'm looking forward to hearing the testimony, to have a better understanding of the different perspectives on the assessments. As a member of the Commission, I have already learned a great deal about what is going on throughout the state and nationally, and I expect to continue learning and contributing to the study. Thank you again for coming, and I look forward to this.
Very good. I'm going to ask our 3 other study members if you could just do a 30-second introduction. I think you'll be impressed with the membership. We've tried to put together a commission that brings multiple education, business, higher education perspectives together. So Matt, would you like to begin?
Happy to. So I'm Matt Stagliano, teacher of English. I work down in Camden County. I work at the 9th and 11th grade English in Camden County Technical Schools, so in the Vocational Technical High School. I work part-time with NJA as a consultant in the Professional Development and Instructional Issues Department.
Hi, I'm Larry Feinsod. I'm Executive Director of New Jersey School Boards. Great to be here in Jersey City.
Kathy?
I'm Kathy Lindenbaum. I am the parent representative on the commission, and I want to thank everyone for coming. I know as a parent too, everyone's very busy, and I'm really looking forward to hearing what everyone has to say.
Thank you, Commissioner Hespy. Thank you to the Study Commission on the Use of Student Assessments in New Jersey for this testimony. I'm going to be philosophical at first, and I'll run through the more specifics later. Houston, we've had a problem here with the phrase used in 1970 by an astronaut aboard our Apollo 13 moon flight to his Texas base, reporting a major technical fault about the electrical system of a service module oxygen tank. The phrase, modified to Houston, we have a problem, was later used to tagline the 1995 Apollo 13. I modify it further today. Trenton, we have a problem. And add the subtitle, Truth, Lies, and O-Rings, the title of a book about this next space flight. 29 years ago today, January 28, 1986, the NASA Space Shuttle Orbiter, Challenger, broke apart 73 seconds into flight, leading to the deaths of all 7 crew members. One of those deaths was a master teacher, Krista McAuliffe, who spoke these unforgettable words, "I teach the future." The disintegration of Challenger began after an O-ring seal in its right solid rocket booster failed at liftoff. This disaster is often used as a case study in many discussions about safety and ethics. Via the findings of a 32-month commission, it was determined that NASA's organizational culture and decision-making processes were key contributing factors to the tragic accident. NASA managers knew the design contained a potentially catastrophic flaw in the O-rings, but failed to address it properly. They disregarded warnings from engineers and/or failed to surface it adequately to their superiors. And the O-rings, as well as many other critical components, had no test data to support any expectation of a successful launch in such conditions. Last, they did not design an escape system. These astronauts and this master teacher would die as a result. Hundreds more testifying after me in this and 2 other New Jersey hearings about PARCC assessments include those who have far more intimate detail than I, since they have daily and direct personal, professional, and experiential contact to report. Often meeting and speaking with them throughout New Jersey and participating on social meeting and at hearings like these, parents see their students inordinately stressed in preparation for excessive, questionable, and developmentally inappropriate, untested PARCC assessments and Common Core assignments. Parents whose parental rights and thorough, intelligent, in-depth research leading them to refuse these tests for their children are challenged by conflicting policies and disrespect. Experienced, mature master teachers who see their once proud and honorable profession diminished are often afraid to question or fully surface the flawed and potentially catastrophic design of PARCC tests and standards to their superiors. Superiors are similarly coward, fearing retribution by their superintendents and state authorities. Boards of education are scrambling to take back control of local districts. Frustrated with the state's boards of education they are legally forced to join, but whom they believe do not represent them anymore. Like NASA, must we consider that they and our governor, Department of Education, and other stakeholders are involved in a questionable organizational culture and decision-making process? And if such is true and scientific, educational, and practical warnings disregarded, how long will decision-makers risk the educational lives of New Jersey students before this untested mission disintegrates with no escape system? Although initially philosophical, I based some of my opposition to Common Core standards and PARCC assessments as follows, and this I will run through. Nationalized educational standards and assessments are not only unconstitutional when I present you with a pocket constitution, they violate 3 federal laws, including the very establishment of the Department of Education. As a member of the press, I interviewed many when I covered the National Governor's Summit on Education in IBM at the IBM Training Facility in Palisades, New York, when an ancestor of Common Core and PARCC, known as School to Work to College and Career, was yet another failed educational system emanating from the Federal Department of Education. It would have trained versus educated students to meet demands of big business, supply human capital in a seamless cradle-to-grave system, and lead to a managed economy. A sincere concern is that the outcome of your final report, members of this commission, is predetermined. Governor Christie's executive order issued 2014 that established your commission followed on the heels of a Faustian bargain orchestrated by the governor, Senator Sweeney, and the leadership of the NJEA that have now altered their strategy that effectively silenced our voice. PARCC itself is a misnomer. The Partnership for Assessment of Readiness for College and Career, where are the jobs in New Jersey? Why saddle students with more student debt that chokes them well into their adult life? Can we ignore Bill Gates himself, Rush Limbaugh, and Steven Spielberg, who returned to college late in life and taught by those teaching his craft? They did not go to college. Only 10 member PARCC states in the District of Columbia remain out of the initial 26. We certainly can't call this nationalized compared to our 50 states. Why do we remain? Why consider such internationally benchmarked when we test all children in our very diverse nation as compared to Finland, a very homogeneous country, or China that only tests its elites and not those children in factories and fields? How can PARCC be meaningful to students when not intended for grade placement or graduation? And given in March and May, and tinkering with cut scores over the summer, has been rumored that results, perhaps favorable to whatever the powers that be determine necessary to promote an agenda, may even be delayed to January 2016. That's like going to a doctor, and I'm over.
Yeah, I see you're reading your statement. I see you have a whole other.
I will not read the rest.
You could just summarize
I will.
this, because I'm really reading, following along. You're doing it verbatim, so.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you for reminding me that.
You're always good at that, Carol.
Thank you. I will say this, though, if I may. It's been rumored that the results, perhaps favorable to whatever the powers that be determine necessary to promote an agenda, may even be delayed to January 2016. That's like going to the doctor and waiting all those months for diagnosis and treatment. Follow the money up the river, right up to Pearson Education. And I have many more thoughts about that written. In addition to that, I want us to consider once again that the 40% of our student population requiring remedial education post-high school may not want to go to college. And their home life, their addictions, their socioeconomic status are primary factors to address before subjecting all this one-size-fits-less. I go on to my family and why we feel we are against Common Core and PARCC. My own career, I was a business director for a major international corporation, managing a staff of 60 in a billion-dollar marketplace. I know what corporations want. And I always encouraged my staff, as Kristen McCall's words, to reach for the stars. Doubtful is any adult claiming their success a result of federally driven nationalized standards and tests like Common Core and PARCC. Trenton, we have a problem. And it's about truth, terminological inexactitudes, and hearings, the latter of which are too few, too inconvenient, may have a predetermined outcome and are limited to assessments when we must address all of Common Core and PARCC, and that all must include all of the things I've mentioned, not the least of which are additional hearings. And we do have an escape route, and that's to do away with the centralized control of education by the United States Department of Education. I close with this quote by Dr. Sandra Stotsky, a member of the Validation Committee, who refused to sign off on Common Core. If we looked at what has worked in American education in the past 50 years, it would be clear the federal government has been ineffective in increasing students' academic achievement, and they have also been unaccountable. Unaccountability should be in the hands of those who pay most of the bills for education, and the educators whose salaries they pay should be accountable only to them, not the federal government. Just a reminder, teachers and principals are the ones interacting with students in the schools. Thank you very much.
That would be me, sir. Hi there. Hi there, I'm Colleen Martinez, and I live in Montclair. I have a third grader in public school there who will refuse to take the PARCC in March and then again in May. My child will not refuse the teacher-developed tests that she is assigned on a regular basis, but she will refuse the PARCC. I'm here to share my concerns about the upcoming rollout of the PARCC test. Some of these thoughts I shared with you in a letter on December 5th, and I haven't heard back from you. I understand that you may have been too busy to read it and respond, so that's why I'm here today. I hope that my feedback as an educator, mental health professional, and parent is helpful to you. I decided to take a practice PARCC test in October, and I went into it with an open mind. I've taken many standardized tests before, and I turned out okay. But having concerns about the Common Core, I thought I should know what my third grader would be facing in the spring. Being aware that many subject matter and education experts from the original work groups did not have the opportunity to review and approve the Common Core, I have concerns that the standards are not developmentally appropriate. For example, I work with a child who just turned 3. He doesn't know how to stack blocks yet, but on his IEP, he's mandated to work toward opening and closing an internet browser. I should add that I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I've worked with children for more than 16 years, most recently in a nearby district as a related service provider, so I know a bit about child development. It might give you some frame of reference as well to know that I hold a PhD, and I teach for a large state university, both on campus and online. I've attended school for more than 20 years of my life, and I've been using computers, including Pearson products, on a daily basis for about that long as well. I tell you this to highlight how unintuitive and difficult to navigate the PARCC interface was, as well as how convoluted the math problems were. I literally could not determine an answer to most questions on the third grade math test. When I did have an answer, I then had a hard time figuring out how to enter it. You might think it's because I studied math a long, long time ago, but I should also add that a 6th grade student and I took the test together, and both of us could not answer most of the questions. If you have not seen the PARCC, I implore you to look at the practice tests. After reviewing practice tests, many have noticed that a child might answer a PARCC question correctly but still be marked wrong because it's not the Pearson preferred answer. What impact does that have on a child and their feelings about themselves and about learning? Should they not trust their own judgment because Pearson knows better? Do you really believe that Pearson knows better? Should they learn that their own way of solving problems is not the right way of solving problems? As someone who every day teaches master's degree students, I doubt that this will help our students to become confident critical thinkers who are college and career ready. Additionally, while standardized testing has been around for a long time, this is the first time that the test is made by the same company that sells our children's textbooks and creates the homework sheets that our children complete every day. I am extremely concerned that one for-profit company has such a significant influence on what our children learn and how they learn it. I'm also here to share some important information with you that could save you and us millions of dollars. I know what the result of the PARCC will be. Drum roll, please. Children with special needs, poor children, and children of color will not perform as well as neurotypical Caucasian and middle-class children on the PARCC. How do I know that? It's not because I'm psychic. It's because research on standardized testing is consistent. Standardized test scores correlate with socioeconomic and disability status. Always. I can't imagine how many millions of dollars we could save if we looked at the research that already exists. I wish I could quantify how many millions of dollars are being spent in my district alone on PARCC preparation. Computers, wireless internet, software, Pearson textbooks and worksheets, hours of our children's lives, my child's life. I can't help but think about those resources and how they could be spent on hiring teachers, reducing class sizes, and other evidence-based, data-based ways of improving academic achievement. I'd also like to make you aware that since I last sent my letter to you in December, the state of Mississippi, a founding member of PARCC, has pulled out of PARCC. This so-called consortium now includes less than 1/4 of the United States of America. Also, the city of Chicago has decided to only administer the PARCC to 10% of their students, and they're considering this first year of testing an expanded pilot. Finally, as someone who earned a PhD from and teaches at a Research One university, I'd like to clarify some misinformation that has been shared in the community. We critics of PARCC are not afraid of rigor. As a researcher, there are a few important concepts that I value, including rigor and validity. Validity, for those of you who aren't aware, is an important concept with regard to measuring tools. A tool's validity is important because it tells us if the tool is actually measuring what it purports to measure. For example, I might tell you that I have a really great tool that can measure your college and career readiness. The tool is called Tool X. You might think that my tool is ridiculous, but I think it's great. Who's right? Does my tool actually measure readiness for career and college? We don't know until we do the research. Rigorous researchers spend many years consulting with experts, designing tools, trying them out, and testing them against other established tools. This is how we determine the validity of a tool. Guess how much research has been done to validate the PARCC? None whatsoever. This is not rigorous research. I'd like to close with a statement from the New Jersey Department of Education on parental involvement. Parents are encouraged to attend local board meetings, vote in school board elections, volunteer at schools, participate in the PTA, serve on school management teams or just district committees and councils, and above all, be advocates for their children. Research is also consistent in this area. Parental involvement benefits all children. So I look forward to having many more conversations with you about the future of our public schools. Thank you.
Kim Barron and Jordan Barron. Okay. Christina Kraus and Sarah Blaine.
You're going to come across a few typos that I have noticed in subsequent readings, so excuse me for that. My turn? Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. Yes, I am. Christina Kraus. Good afternoon, and thank you all for taking the time to hear our testimony. My name is Christina Kraus, and I live in Ridgewood, New Jersey. I'm actually a board member in Ridgewood, but I come to you today as a mother. My youngest child is in the 8th grade currently, and may potentially be affected by a decision that would ultimately deem the PARCC test a high school graduation requirement. But my immediate concern is this spring's district-wide PARCC tests. I have been informed by my district that, among other things, state assessments provide parents with important information about their child's progress. detailed diagnostic information about each individual student's performance that educators, parents, and students can utilize to enhance foundational knowledge and student achievement, and include item analysis, which will clarify a student's level of knowledge and understanding of a particular subject or subjects. The data derived from state assessments will be utilized by teachers and administrators to pinpoint areas of difficulty and customize instruction accordingly. Such data can be assessed and utilized as a student progresses to successive school levels. I would like to share with you what our Assistant Commissioner of Education has said at a recent educational forum in my town. This is a quote. "The PARCC end-of-year, end-of-course assessments are not intended to be sort of the through-course diagnostic form of assessments, the benchmark assessments that most of us are used to. That would diagnose and be able to inform instruction in the middle of the year." That's from Barry Ehrlichson. That quote seems to render PARCC rather meaningless. As parents of a child who is suffering through the district's alignment to Common Core and who could potentially be subjected to PARCC, my husband and I have done our due diligence. Any parent who does the same could never be convinced that this current reform has any merit whatsoever. There is no known evidence to support the claims made by its creators, none at all. The assessments will not provide information which will clarify the level of knowledge and understanding. It will not be utilized to pinpoint areas of difficulty, and it will not help to customize instruction. Only a sampling of the results, too expensive, claims the New Jersey Department of Education, will be available to parents and educators sometime after the start of the following school year. How does that inform anyone's instruction? What PARCC does do is punish teachers, many of whom are retiring in droves, rather than be present as the system implodes. Their years of experience and expertise reduced to teaching to the test. I do not support outcome-based education. Forcing students to regurgitate answers that test takers deem appropriate is not teaching. The constant remediation it manufactures destroys the marginal learners who it was purportedly designed to elevate, while dooming high achievers to an eventual future devoid of innovation, creativity, and passion. The claims made by PARCC, Achieve, Pearson, and Common Core are without merit. The system has never been tested or proven. The fact that cut scores will be formulated after the results are known does little to instill confidence. Attempting to overhaul the educational system of a nation as vast, diverse, and brilliant as the United States should not be done by bureaucrats and education vendors on the fly, especially when no educator ever asked for their assistance or intervention, otherwise known as help. Who would ever subject themselves voluntarily to a course of treatment that had never seen even one clinical trial? We are taking an untested cure for an imaginary disease. No rational, moderately intelligent person would ever submit to that. Our children are not lab rats. They are curious, creative, individual learners who should be allowed to flourish. They should never be limited by a set of standards designed only to measure their college and career readiness. To speak of children in grades K through 8 as being either college or career ready is preposterous. They are developmentally unable to be either one. High school students may be better suited, but even then, some may not choose college, and some may explore many careers before settling on what they find pleasing. To suggest that simply by virtue of having these standards in place and teaching to them, we will achieve a predetermined outcome is an Orwellian recipe for disaster. States have been fleeing Common Core and PARCC in droves. Last year, 3 states withdrew from either Common Core or PARCC, some both. This year, 6 more have introduced legislation to repeal the standards and the associated testing, which begs the question, if they are so great, why are states so eager to shed them? I would also like to know why they are not good enough for the children of their most strident supporters and creators, Bill Gates, Chris Christie, and Barack Obama. I suppose that question could also be asked of our State Board of Education President, Mark Bedron. His Willow School has no use for either the standards or PARCC and sends its 8th grade graduates to high schools that also wisely reject the Common Core and PARCC. I would ask that we critically analyze this reform and its usefulness, its instructional impact, and its cost. I would ask that we let our teachers do what they do best, teach, not proctor a classroom. Other than parents, they know our children best, and they want what's best for them. Allow us to work together to educate the whole child. It is our duty and responsibility to unleash both their innate creativity and expand their intellectual curiosity so that they become passionate, involved citizens, not robotic cogs destined for a predetermined workplace. My hope is that you begin to share the concern of parents across the country and begin to make some evidence-based changes. Thank you for listening.